Uncle Grandpa was always a very weird show to see airing. There was just something about it that felt so wrong to me. It didn't feel like it belonged to any age group. It felt like if I watched Uncle Grandpa and I went to school to talk about Uncle Grandpa, there would be that one kid who just beats you over the head with a hammer, takes you to the bathroom, and tries to slaughter you. I don't know, it just seems like that kind of show to me, but is it actually that bad? Does it deserve a bad rap? Did it deserve to be canceled? Or was it a hidden gem? That is the question we're going to be trying to answer today when I look at two of the best reviewed episodes, two of the worst reviewed episodes, and two random episodes to discuss, was Uncle Grandpa actually awful? And if you like content just like this, please make sure to like and subscribe. At 30k, I'm going to be cosplaying as Muscle Man from Regular Show and doing a hot dog eating contest. And if you want a place where you can talk about your favorite cartoons, movies, games, shows, give me video ideas, share art, send your pets, there's a gaming channel in there, my Discord will be in the description. Now let's see how Uncle Grandpa actually was. So the very first episode that I watched of Uncle Grandpa was actually the best episode, Treasure Map, with a 8.1 rating on IMDb, and oh my god, maybe it's just because all I watched yesterday was Fanboy and Chum Chum, but going from Fanboy and Chum Chum to this was actually a very pleasant experience. I thought this episode was really decent. I actually enjoyed the majority of the plot. First thing I gotta say, I love the realistic flying tiger thing. I don't know, just the fact that it's a JPEG of a tiger and it just sits there and then it moves and makes tiger noises, and that's pretty much the joke with it. I love it. I think it's really funny. So the episode follows Mr. Gus, Uncle Grandpa, Pizza Steve, and Flying Tiger being at a restaurant, just being very weird with their food, and then they realize they don't have any money to pay for the bill. And Uncle Grandpa's like, oh, hey guys, the placemat's actually a treasure map! And so he just starts digging in the floor, and this leads to our main dynamic of Mr. Gus just thinking that it's a placemat and not actually anything important, and he plays a really good straight man in the episode. Mr. Gus is basically the equivalent of a Squidward, to say the least. He's not really a mean version, though. He's just very, you know, stoic and just like, that's not actually an imagination or a weird thing. We're actually just, you know, digging a hole in the ground. And I think he works really well for Uncle Grandpa and Pizza Steve's very just nonchalant nonsense personalities. I think their just combo relationship makes the episode a little bit more hilarious, especially as they're just going down into this hole they're digging. They come up to this wall that they can't get through, and Mr. Gus is like, come on, Uncle Grandpa, be a little more practical now. And he's like, more practical? And then he just gets down and his hat starts spinning and Pizza Steve just picks him up and starts cutting him through the wall.
More practical instead of this nonsense. More practical. What are you guys doing?
That was pretty weird, but it got a chuckle out of me, so I was all for it. And then they just keep following this map, thinking more and more things are gonna happen. And then all of a sudden, Uncle Grandpa's just on the ceiling for no reason. He's just there, and I'm kind of liking the nonsense of it. It's so bad that it's good in a way. It's like a good bad. Like, I'm not gonna go into this thinking that this is the, you know, magnum opus of Cartoon Network and this is everything I hoped for, but I was truly just hoping that this was going to be bad funny. You know when you're watching like one of your favorite movies that's just so awful that it's good? That's what I wanted going into Uncle Grandpa, and so far, it's delivering on that. So they keep digging up, and they end up in a bank vault, and tear gas starts going off, and you just pan to Mr. Gus's face, just red. Everybody else is dancing while there's sirens and tear gas, and he's like, it's not good powder, it's tear gas!
Fog machine? My favorite! That's tear gas.
And I thought that was kind of funny. I'm enjoying myself. I'm having a decent enough time. And so they eventually escape that, and they're just going around, just looking around, trying to escape everything. And it cuts back to the flying tiger, who is now ordering steak milkshakes and looks very sad. And there's a bathroom joke that the date is in the bathroom for too long. I don't know. I really like the tiger. I'm all about the tiger. I'm enjoying myself there.
Your friend's still in the bathroom. You sure I can't get you anything else? Not even a steak smoothie?
And eventually Mr. Gus gets super angry and just starts stomping on the ground. He's like, you guys are so weird! And then they fall down into the ship, and that's when they meet this like blowhole guy who actually does have the treasure, but he's threatening to kill them all if they don't answer a trivia question correctly. Okay, that's cool. I'm down for it. And he's all like, okay guys, well, what touches all continents and doesn't have a beginning, a middle, or the end? And the answer is obviously the ocean. Mr. Gus sees right through this, and he's like, the ocean. And then Uncle Grandpa stops him, and he's like, Mr. Gus, no. What were you gonna say? He's like, the ocean. What do you think? And Uncle Grandpa's all like, no, it's their brand new spaghetti fish tacos, which also caught me off guard, but I don't know, that's just me going into the show with no knowledge of how any of the characters are going to act, so it's just all very weird. And Mr. Gus even says it, he's like, why are you guys so weird? What are you talking about?
It's the new spaghetti fish sandwich.
Yeah, spaghetti fish sandwich, duh.
What? Are you serious? You guys are so weird.
And he's just like, you just gotta embrace the weird. So Mr. Gus is all like, spaghetti fish tacos, and that's of course correct, and they get the one free meal. They go back to the restaurant, and the Flying Tiger has had too many steak milkshakes, so they have to wash dishes to pay for it anyway. And honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and give this like a solid 8 out of 10. I didn't have a bad time at all in this episode, which genuinely shocked me, because going into this, I had the prior knowledge that Uncle Grandpa is just a very stupid show. I mean, granted, Uncle Grandpa himself didn't really wow me, it was just kind of his actions that didn't really make any sense. They just caught me off guard, and Mr. Gus's reactions to everything is what got me to laugh the majority of the time, but I don't know, I was pleasantly surprised. The episode flowed really well, all 11 minutes, I was pretty entertained. There was some good jokes here or there. Again, I really like the tiger. I don't know, whoever was in that board meeting and was like, okay, so we got Uncle Grandpa, just this mystical, omnipotent being. We have a big, just a lizard man who's cranky. He's basically like the Schnitzel. He reminds me a lot of Schnitzel from Chowder, just rada, except he can actually talk. I like Mr. Gus a lot. And then Pizza Steve, I'm also very indifferent about him. He seems like he could literally just replace Uncle Grandpa as the main character. It could have been Uncle Pizza Steve and it's the same thing. I don't know, they just seem very similar to each other in terms of intelligence, so that was kind of whatever. But then you just have the tiger. Like, who was sitting at this board meeting who was like, what if we just took a JPEG of a tiger and made it one of the characters? Don't get me wrong, it makes a lot of the gags really funny. So I guess it was a brilliant idea. Overall, this episode was fun. It had a good plot line, good jokes. It just kind of wowed me. So yeah, 8 out of 10. I'm excited for what else Uncle Grandpa has to show. Alright, so going into the next best episode in the series, it was viewership special, and this was the first time I actually watched the intro of the show, and dear Lord, I remember this when I was just a wee lad, and I would wake up for school in the mornings. I would pop on the TV and just be like, okay, please be regular show, please be Adventure Time, please be Gumball, and then all of a sudden I would hear this intro, good morning, good morning. And if you're a kid who hated waking up, who hated going to school, I was one of those. I wasn't a fan of it. I know it's a privilege. I should be so thankful, but there was nothing worse than getting up in the morning and having to go to school. And when you just open your eyes, turn on the TV, and the first thing you hear is this guy's voice going, good morning, it pisses you off a little bit. Maybe that's what turned me off to Uncle Grandpa, because I don't like this intro at all. His voice is really dumb, but in a funny way, but it's only funny sometimes. Either way. So the actual episode, it's the viewership special, which actually has a pretty decent concept, to where Uncle Grandpa, Gus, Pizza Steve, and Realistic Flying Tiger are just sitting in a blank screen, and they invite one of the viewers to draw their episode from their TV living room. And one of the things that caught me so off guard about this was Uncle Grandpa was all like, hey Kev, hey Kev, and Kev finally responds, and he's like, what magic pen to draw with? And he opens the door, and it's just Frankenstein for no reason.
What?
That actually got me to laugh a decent amount. I thought that was a little bit funny. But then the episode kind of just goes downhill from there. I still think the concept is really cool, with Kev just drawing everything that's going on. He draws them in like a tropical paradise and starts trying to kill them with like a giant knife or something. He tries to make them play rock music. He just starts doing a bunch of horrible things, drawing a bunch of monsters. He eventually redraws Uncle Grandpa, Gus, and Pizza Steve and makes their characters look, I don't know, really wrong is probably the right way to put it.
Redraw you!
Mr. Gus genuinely looks like,
Oh, I'm gonna get a hernia. Ugh, I broke my glasses.
that's what he looks like, but yeah, I don't know, all of them just look really funny, and they eventually trick Kev into giving the Uncle Grandpa a chainsaw so that he could cut the TV and go into Kev's world, and he goes in there, and he's all like, hey Kev, and then all the monsters come into the real world, and then he draws erasers so that they get to erase everybody. Honestly, just kind of a whatever plot. I didn't really care for it. It actually was only about 7 minutes long, and there just wasn't a whole lot to keep me invested. I wouldn't really say that it's boring. It just didn't have the same charm as the treasure map episode. There wasn't as many jokes that landed. It kind of just felt like it was a bunch of nonsense happening over and over and over again. It still flows decently well, better than Fanboy and Chum Chum, I can tell you that much. But I don't know, it just wasn't really encapsulating me, wasn't really making me want to continue watching. None of the jokes landed very well, and by the time we were done, I was like, huh, that's it? That felt really short. And there was a reason for it feeling very short. It's because they started playing Zarna, I forget what it's called, but I don't know, I was just watching it as like Zarna the Warrior of the Apocalypse, and I was just like, what the hell is going on? What is this? I genuinely thought it like double recorded a different show for a second, but no. It's a part of Uncle Grandpa. It's like a mini series within Uncle Grandpa about this random like woman who's really beefy, really muscular, and she's living in the apocalypse in the wasteland, and she needs gas. First off, I don't like her voice acting. It's very weird and off-putting. It's just, it doesn't feel right. I feel like it's just all played for laughs, but it's so weird. And she wants gas, and she eventually finds this monster that's driving this gas truck, and they both go on the roof and they start fighting, and she like throws something at his elbow, and he's just like, ouch, that really hurt. And the voice acting is genuinely just horrendous. And
Mistake.
Ouch! That really hurt! Ouch, ouch, ouch!
the fight quality is awful. I feel like that's why it's supposed to be funny. At least as an adult, I could laugh at this because of how bad it was. But if I was a kid and I was watching this, I probably wouldn't be as entertained. But he just starts, or she just starts punching him over and over again, and is just like, I guess size really doesn't matter, and pushes him over and shoves him off because he kept growing more and more the more she punched him.
Size doesn't matter.
Yeah, it was really weird, and I didn't expect it at all. I just didn't understand what was happening. So I thought that was cool though, and surprising. I don't know if it's just because the creators are very unconfident in their actual Uncle Grandpa show that they needed to make another miniseries, or they were just having fun with it. I don't know. Either way, very weird. The episode as a whole, the plot was just kinda, you know, it was pretty linear, but it wasn't that interesting. I thought that the kid that was drawing all of the monsters, he was also just very bland, just very like, oh yeah, I like punk rock, oh god, screw you Uncle Grandpa, oh god, I don't like you. That was basically his personality the entire time, and then him switching up at the end, I was like, okay, cool dude, cool. None of the jokes were that funny. I only really laughed at the end at the Zarna, the apocalypse lady, because it was just so out of the blue and it caught me so off guard. Everything else was just okay. So for it being one of the best episodes, I thought it was a little bit disappointing. I would probably like this a lot more as a kid. I'm obviously not the target audience now, but I don't know, I just feel like they weren't telling as many jokes in this one, and it was kind of all leaning on the kid drawing the world to be the major point of the episode. But I feel like when I'm watching something called Uncle Grandpa and I have to listen to the good morning, oh, I'm your Uncle Grandpa, well Kev, why don't you draw us something fun to do? I feel like it should be mainly jokes and not just focusing on this linear plot, because it should just be a lot of nonsense in this kind of show. That should be what I'm expecting. So now heading over to some of the worst episodes that Uncle Grandpa has to offer with a 5.2 rating on IMDb, Uncle Grandpa's Odyssey. Oh boy, gotta love that title. That sure does get my hopes up. And going into the worst episodes, my hope is never really up. I'm actually terrified for what I'm going to see. But going into this episode, it actually wasn't that bad. I'd say some parts of it are a little bit boring, but for the majority of it, I was having a decent time. The episode opens with a realistic tiger getting some ice cream, and then a deer poacher just shows up and kidnaps the goddamn tiger.
Guardian nearby. She's holding a bunch of ice cream cones.
No doubt, taking it back to her pack of ravaged tiger friends.
So the only character that I truly like 100% of the time in the show got kidnapped. That's gonna get me invested, that's gonna get me hyped. I wanna know what's gonna happen to the tiger. And then I genuinely cannot, express this enough. But the tiger gets kidnapped, and then it cuts to Uncle Grandpa, Gus, and Steve all sitting on the couch. And Uncle Grandpa's just sitting there, and I'm expecting him to be like, huh, I wonder where realistic flying tiger is. But no, he's just with a deadpan expression, just goes, it's been many minutes. And I lost my mind at that.
It's been many minutes. Where's Tiger with her ice cream order?
I haven't laughed that hard while watching this entire show, and if this is one of the worst episodes for it to get me to just start laughing so hard that the whole house can hear me, that was a very good sign. I was all for that. And so, Uncle Grandpa is like, oh, we gotta get realistic flying tiger back, and Pizza Steve's all like, well, that sounds kind of boring. What if we make it a musical? So then I was thinking, oh great, it's gonna be a musical episode. Maybe that's why it sucks. And the musical parts with it are really forgettable. None of them stand out as being something special. Maybe that's why people reviewed this episode as being really bad. I don't think it was necessarily a hindrance to the episode, but none of them genuinely stand out as being anything special. And so this random salesman shows up to sell things to Uncle Grandpa, and he starts singing a song, and Uncle Grandpa with his stupid voice is all like, oh, and then he's just like, don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me.
Fish with a hat?
Don't interrupt me.
Oh.
I actually like that part a lot. That's probably what I would say if a, guy named Uncle Grandpa tried to interrupt my beautiful singing song. And so he gives them this little cube, and then they just shove him out of the RV. That was also a very funny moment. I don't know why they just had to throw this guy out of the RV. And so they start looking for a giant realistic flying tiger. And this is where the episode kind of drops off for me because it's just a bunch of random nonsense. And I know I said that I want random nonsense, but I want it for the sake of comedy and to actually have a purpose. Some of it does. The first part of it does, I should say. They get to this construction site, and this caught me so off guard. This guy just starts walking over, and it's Tyler, the Creator, voicing this monster man who is apparently really into art.
Digging and drilling and filling. That's how I make a living. So if you don't mind, take another route and stop wasting my time.
I did not know Tyler was in any Uncle Grandpa episodes, let alone be a semi-villain of this episode. That was crazy. And unfortunately, his part does not go that hard. It was okay. For how much they probably paid Tyler to do this, it was just very below average. Didn't really expect much going into this. I didn't even expect Tyler to even be here, so I guess I can't really be that excited. So they get away from him and they end up underground, just like always. They just love going underground, and they find these two mermaids that are like singing with their hair and combining their hair to show things, and Pizza Steve's all like, mermaid baddies, oh my god, this is exactly what I needed to become a pizza crust. I'm gonna bust. That's probably what he was thinking. I don't know. He really wanted them, and they were actually just luring him in so that they could try to eat all of them, and they narrowly managed to escape the mermaid baddies. They get out of there, and this eventually leads them to this forest where they're giving away free samples, and this is really where the episode kind of lost me. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm having a bad time, but I just didn't care for it. These elves offer free samples, and then they start eating the free samples, and this just goes on for too long. Uncle Grandpa, Pizza Steve, and Mr. Gus, they want more free samples, but they're being greedy, so they give them pig samples, or like pig macaroons, which turns them into actual pigs. And I was just thinking, what's the point of this? But right after that, they set the tree on fire, so I guess, when you get turned into a pig, you just commit arson. That's alright. And they eventually get to the pound. We see giant realistic flying tiger who is so unbelievably sad. Oh, the tiger. The tiger. Oh Lord! So they break into there, they get the tiger back, and then all the villains from the episode, Tyler, the elves, and the ladies, they show up because they're very angry at them. And then the guy shows up out of Uncle Grandpa's head because he pulls out the cube that he sold to them, and then he just smooches Uncle Grandpa, which again caught me off guard. I don't know why he had to plant a big old peck on him, but I guess I'm okay with it. And he starts singing a song, makes everybody happy, and Uncle Grandpa and everybody's stuck being a pig, and then the episode just abruptly ends. You know, for it being one of the worst rated episodes of Uncle Grandpa, I was pleasantly surprised. I wouldn't say that I was bored the entire time. There were moments where I felt like it was a little bit slow, where I was thinking, does this scene need to actually be happening? Are you enjoying this scene? Does this scene need to exist? But for the majority, I got a couple of laughs. I thought it was interesting. Tyler, the Creator, was a nice surprise. The musical, aspect of it wasn't very good. It's not like I'm gonna be thinking about this in the shower and being like, Uncle Grandpa, the musical was for me, it's just so incredible. I won't be that. I won't be singing any of the Uncle Grandpa songs, but they weren't a hindrance to the episode. None of the songs made me feel like, oh god, another musical. Stuff is just kind of happening. But yeah, it was just okay. I think I'm going to give this one a solid 6 out of 10. Definitely nothing that could wow me and make me want to ever rewatch this. But if, this was on and I was just sitting there, and I wouldn't be having a bad time. I would say oh man, this is all right. I wouldn't be like, this is good or this is bad. It's just all right. Sheep Deprivation is another one of the worst episodes of Uncle Grandpa with a 5.2 rating on IMDb, and I can see why a little bit more that this one is bad because I did not enjoy it. It was the first episode of Uncle Grandpa that I got to watch that I think follows what the show is actually supposed to be about, because this guy, Uncle Grandpa, he's supposed to be everybody's Uncle Grandpa. He's supposed to be a figure to every single child in the world, a figure that's supposed to come and help you, but I think this guy is honestly not even that. I think he's just an omnipotent being that likes to mess with children just for shits and giggles. I don't think he's actually there to help them. I'm not quite sure. That's just what I'm gathering from this one episode, because it genuinely feels like he's installing all of these dreams into this child to torment her. At least that's what I felt like. I mean, obviously the kid's not going to think that, but that's what I was thinking. So the episode follows this girl who has this super long list of a bunch of stuff she has to do so she can't fall asleep. So Uncle Grandpa shows up and he's all like, oh, you just gotta fall asleep by counting sheep. And so he uses his sheep whistle, which was a very odd scene to watch because his mustache goes in his nose and then his eyes pop out. That was weird. I didn't know what was going on with that. But he summons the sheep, and the sheep start jumping, and then they realize that the number 3 sheep is missing, so how could she possibly go to sleep if the number 3 sheep isn't there? Oh no! They start hunting down the number 3 sheep, and the girl just starts getting more and more weirded out. Uncle Grandpa apparently has a down payment on the sheep, and is like, I don't know if I'll get my down payment back.
No, I don't wanna lose my down payment on that rental.
That was kind of funny, I guess. That was weird. So they're just going through all these silly shenanigans, going to the kitchen, going through their parents' room, and the girl is just hallucinating more and more. And the entire time I was watching this, I was just thinking, if I had a guy like Uncle Grandpa come into my bedroom one night and start trying to help me with my problems, I would think that he wants to do unconsensual, dirty, nasty things to me. That's just the way I view this man, where he's just like, oh, come on, you're worrying for nothing. You gotta find the sheep with me. Come on, girl. Come on, let's go find the sheep. I don't know, just something about him is very uninviting. I don't know. I don't like him very much. But the girl is just hallucinating more and more. They eventually end up in their freezer, and then they go to the coyote cave because apparently the sheep was kidnapped by coyotes, and the coyotes are having a auction for the sheep. And then Uncle Grandpa just straight up Mr. Krabs Flying Dutchman interaction, where the Flying Dutchman bought SpongeBob for 62 cents. It was just like that. How does this benefit the girl's dreams? Because I swear Uncle Grandpa is instilling these dreams. He knows that they're happening, because the girl is all like, well, how do we get the sheep back? And Uncle Grandpa's all like, we can make a deal. And the coyote's all like, well, we'll give you the sheep for the girl. And Uncle Grandpa, no hesitation, is just like, okay, and you can have her.
Raldo, you can have the sheep back if you leave us the girl. Sold! What?
And then they're just like, well, we're gonna eat her, right? And he's like, yeah. And then he leaves. And then the girl wakes up because it was all a dream. And then she gets scared again by another coyote. And then she wakes up again from a dream. And then she has another dream where she's talking to Uncle Grandpa. And it's so weird. It's so hard to follow. And I'm not having a great time. I don't know. Nothing was really that funny in this episode. It was just a bunch of nonsensical nonsense, but for no reason. It felt like we were going from place to place, but there wasn't any passion or drive behind it. It wasn't like, okay, let's have them go here so that we could tell a really funny joke right here about this kind of concept. It just felt like, oh, well, she's dreaming, so we could just make the character go wherever we want her to go, and it could just be a bunch of nonsense with no real jokes to follow it, so it doesn't really help the episode. And what makes the episode even worse is the Zarna thing, the apocalypse thing that I talked about. That was fine because it was actually interesting. That what they do at the end of this episode, instead of like using the 11 minutes to tell some really good jokes in between all these scenes that I thought was really lacking, they spend the last 2.5 minutes of this episode doing this future joke bit where it's Uncle Grandpa, Mr. Gus, Pizza Steve, and the tiger, I think, just all like thousands of years into the future, and they're just like, oh, well, we already did that episode, let's tell a bunch of really shitty meta jokes so that we can be really funny to all the kids watching. None of it was really funny, and then they all just commit suicide by flying into the sun. That was very interesting. I don't know where they were really going with that joke. Like, I don't know, I just don't get the thought process. Like, why are we ending the episode early? Are we unconfident in our plotline, so we're gonna create something just at the end of the episode that's supposed to make you laugh, and then it doesn't, and it just leaves me wondering, why did we waste those 2 minutes and 30 seconds instead of sitting down for another 45 minutes and coming up with jokes? Like, it was literally a dream episode, man. Do you know how many random jokes and random situations you could put your characters in? You could put your characters in any situation, which means literally any joke is on the table. But they just didn't tell any jokes. It was just nonsense for the sake of nonsense, which is nonsense that I am not a fan of. So honestly, I'm going to give this episode a 3 out of 10. Just wasn't really a fan of it. This probably is the most disappointing episode that I've watched so far, and I do not ever want to watch it again. Now heading over to that random category, episodes that I just choose from the middle of the road to see how the show just rounds out overall. You can't obviously look at the best and just the worst to determine if a show is actually bad or good. And the first episode that I'm going to be taking a look at is Misfortune Cookie, and this one did not impress me very much. This one is about how it's Chinese food delivery day, everybody's so excited, and the Chinese guy just shows up, Uncle Grandpa's just so pumped, and they get their Chinese food, and then Uncle Grandpa doesn't tip, so I immediately knew, okay, the Chinese food delivery guy is going to be the villain somehow. I just don't know how we're going to get there yet. Pretty predictable plot, right? And then the episode follows Uncle Grandpa reading his fortune, which says that somebody is going to betray him, and somebody close to him is wearing a disguise. So for the entire episode, he's just harassing all of his friends to see if, you know, they are the one that's in disguise. And what I'm discovering from this episode is Uncle Grandpa on his own, without a straight man character for the majority of the episode, honestly sucks. He is so abysmally stupid that I don't enjoy watching him when he's by himself. It's just like, oh, I don't know who could possibly be the person that's after me. Maybe it's says something super nonsensical that isn't really that funny. I feel like I only really like his jokes when there's a character who can react to how stupid what he is saying is going on. But, there isn't that for the majority of this episode. So he goes to Pizza Steve, and Pizza Steve is just playing with dolls, and so he can't be the guy that's in disguise. And then he goes to Giant Realistic Flying Tiger, who is sharpening their claws and has a shovel, and Uncle Grandpa's like, are you trying to kill me with your sharp claws and a shovel? And the Giant Realistic Flying Tiger is hurt by this and just like engraves it and then gives him the shovel.
Like something an enemy might do. To Uncle Grandpa with love, Tiger.
Great. Awesome. And then he automatically assumes that it must be Mr. Gus, because by process of elimination, he's the only one that it could be, which leads to him just immediately attacking Mr. Gus, just hitting him over the head, and then imprisoning him, and then just keeps pulling out a bunch of different items of torture. It's not really that funny. And then Mr. Gus starts scootering away on his little configure or bike or whatever he's attached to, and then Uncle Grandpa chases him for like a while, a very long time, and nothing really happens there. It's just him chasing him through a bunch of different scenes. I guess it's visually okay, not really that stunning to me. And eventually he has Mr. Gus right there, and he literally rips his skin off. He just rips his skin off. He sees that, oh, wow, that is Mr. Gus. And then he rips off Pizza Steve's face and is like, oh, wow, that is Pizza Steve. He tries to rip off Flying Giant Realistic Tiger's face, and he can't, obviously, because it's a tiger. And then his own head falls off, and it's revealed that he is the Chinese food delivery guy the entire time. And it's so weird, man. It's so odd. Like, I get what it's going for. It's supposed to be so unbelievably odd that it's funny, but it just doesn't do it for me in this episode. So the Chinese food delivery guy is mad because Uncle Grandpa doesn't tip him, and then Uncle Grandpa's all like, well, maybe you shouldn't do such a convoluted plan and be all like dressing up as me and stuff in a plan that makes genuinely no sense.
It caused you to hijack other people's bodies in some sort of weird revenge plot that makes no literal sense whatsoever.
So the creator is just pointing out that the plan makes sense, but when your entire episode isn't that interesting and it's all riding off this one joke at the end that's saying that, oh, this entire story that we just wrote doesn't make any sense, then it doesn't really feel that great to me. I understand that it's supposed to be nonsensical, it's supposed to not have, you know, maybe a focus on anything, but then again, like, I feel like you could get way more crazy with it and tell so many more jokes when you have a plot like this if your entire joke at the end of the episode hinders on the fact of Uncle Grandpa saying that this makes no sense whatsoever. But that's just the way that I look at it, and he eventually does tip the guy, so yippee, happy ending. And then of course we get 2 minutes of just random nonsense about a chicken who wants to cross the road, but the road is very busy, and they eventually do cross the road, and the chicken's looking for a taco restaurant, but it was actually back on the other side of the road. Ha 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 ha! That was a really funny joke. That was really good. Really gave me a pep in my step when reviewing the show. I was like, wow, I'm so happy yet again we wasted another 2 minutes that could have been used to make the actual episode better on a random side plot that led nowhere, and I don't feel any better for have seen. I don't care. Whatever, I'm talking gibberish. But either way, just not the best episode for me. I'm gonna give this one a 4 out of 10. I think the plot works. It just feels void and lacking of any entertainment or comedy because Uncle Grandpa is by himself, and I truly do feel like he needs that straight man or somebody to react to all of his nonsense. And his little fanny pack that talks, that isn't a good enough character to do that. If it was like Uncle Grandpa and Mr. Gus hunting for somebody and there was like one more friend, then this episode probably would have turned out a lot better for me, but it just didn't hit. I don't know, there was something missing. So yeah, that's why it's getting such a low ranking. And the final episode that we're going to be taking a look at with a 6.5 rating on IMDb is the episode Ballroom. And I actually think this episode has a very strong opening that caught me off guard, that was kind of hilarious, with Uncle Grandpa and Pizza Steve getting mad at Mr. Gus, and then Mr. Gus genuinely snapping and just threatening to brutally slaughter them if they go into the ballroom. I thought everything about this scene, all of Mr. Gus's reactions and just telling them off, was actually decently funny.
Pick up some supplies for tonight.
I was ready for it, I was hyped for this episode, and then it just kind of went downhill for me. I don't know if this just isn't my kind of comedy, but it just felt like the same thing over and over and over again. So, Uncle Grandpa and Pizza Steve, they're playing with this ball, and it accidentally goes into the ballroom, and they're like, oh my god, Mr. Gus is gonna know we were in there unless we get that ball. So, they try to go in there without actually stepping foot in there, so they, like, use their hands, and they just keep on destroying things.
He didn't say anything about setting hand in the ballroom. Okay, Uncle G.
It just starts off really simple with them destroying a plate, and then they just knock over an entire shelf, and they just keep on destroying more and more things over and over again while trying to get this little skimpy ball that keeps running away from them. And it would have been fine if that took up like 2 or 3 minutes of the episode, but it's genuinely like just 9 minutes of them chasing this ball over and over and over again, and then they destroy something, and then they try a different silly shenanigan to try to get the ball back, and it's just okay. It just genuinely feels like I'm watching the same thing, except in a different format. Like, oh, well, they destroyed the plate while they were just doing a handstand. Oh, they released grape juice everywhere while they destroyed a pipe. Oh, they destroyed more cabinets while driving a car into there. It's just not that entertaining to me. I actually thought it started to pick up a little bit more when they finally do get the ball back, and then they have to try to sneak out of the room without touching their feet on the ground. So Uncle Grandpa like throws a mustache rope down at the door, and then they try to zip line, and then Pizza Steve just like mid zip line, like they're just using their hands to walk down it, and just mid, like they're almost there, like it would have been perfectly fine. He's like, wait a minute, I got a better idea. And he just like takes one of his pepperonis off and starts trying to zip line, and it rips. So now Uncle Grandpa has to like carry Pizza Steve while also going down. And then they realize that one of Uncle Grandpa's hairs is on the floor, so they're like, he's gonna know we were in there. Oh no. And so he starts freaking out, panicking, and Mr. Gus opens the door, and he's like, I wasn't talking about that ballroom that you guys were just in this entire time. I was talking about this other room. And it turns out to just be this room with a ball pit. Oh boy, what a hilarious, amazing joke. It caught me so off guard, and it was so hilarious. Yeah, that's pretty much the entire episode. It was okay. Just definitely okay. There was nothing that special about it. It was just Pizza Steve and Uncle Grandpa, which are two characters that I don't really think even mesh together that well, just being the main characters, because they're kind of both the exact same. They're just both equally very dumb, and there's no like balance to it with the comedy. It's just both of them reacting to the same exact thing over and over again and responding the exact same to every situation, and it doesn't really feel like that good of comedy to me. Maybe it appeals to other people, but not necessarily to me. I definitely just think that it was okay. I would give it a 5 out of 10. I just feel like it was lacking certain things, and there were certain areas that it could have improved, but still, just not the worst episode, not the best, definitely just very middle of the road for me. So is Uncle Grandpa actually awful? Well, after watching these 6 episodes, I kind of get the gist of it. I know what's going on, and I think the show only really works when you have these key components. I think the realistic flying tiger, that is actually funny as hell. Keep that in every episode and you're golden. But when it comes to Uncle Grandpa, Pizza Steve, and Mr. Gus, they only really work when they're together. I don't like watching Uncle Grandpa do a bunch of his shenanigans if there's not a character that is also hilarious reacting to what he is doing. Mr. Gus plays a great straight man role, and if he's not there, I don't really care about what Uncle Grandpa is doing, and same for Pizza Steve. I don't care about what he's doing unless there's a straight man to react to it. I laughed the most in the series when there were those moments where they were reacting to each other, and they all need to be there for the episode to actually be good. And there's also a problem with the writing in this show to where they're constantly trying to do the most random thing possible. I mean, their show is Uncle Grandpa, a really weird concept about a man who just invades a bunch of children's rooms and just is like, I'm your Uncle Grandpa, kids, let's go on a random adventure that doesn't make any sense. So I get it. It's supposed to be random. That's supposed to be where the comedy is derived from. But when you're just doing random nonsense without a goal in mind, I don't think it's very entertaining. Like, they'll just go to this random place and then nothing will happen, and then they'll just be like, oh, it's really weird that we're here. And then they'll go to another place and do the same exact thing, and you're just wondering, why did they even include that part? And then what pisses me off even more about it is the fact that at the end of every single episode, usually, there's 3 to 4 to 5 minutes of just random nonsense that wasn't a part of your original plot that isn't even usually that funny. The like warrior stuff, the like Zana, the warrior apocalypse, that was really funny, that was interesting, but I feel like she is not the main character for the majority of these random side plots. It's usually just nonsensical garbage that doesn't add anything to the actual plot, and when your episode is already lacking. Like, these are adult males watching this episode, so they probably have the same exact reaction I would. So when you're watching this and you're not finding any of it remotely funny, you think you should just be like, well, this episode kind of sucks. Let's just add a random 2-minute, like, back slot to the episode about random nonsense like a chicken trying to cross the road with Uncle Grandpa. Nothing's more hilarious than that. Oh, the first part of our episode sucks. Let's just add on more fluff to make it seem like it's more appealing. I don't know. Just something about that rubs me the wrong way, because I was genuinely watching the episodes and I was like, they could have done something really funny here. And then I'm watching a chicken try to cross the road, or them telling a bunch of meta jokes about how, we're in the future and episode 1000 was about how, Uncle Grandpa tried to save the day. It's just not that entertaining. Nothing about it really makes me go, oh wow, I'm so glad they included this random section at the end of the episode that should have just been used to tell actual jokes. I don't know. I guess those are my biggest problems with it. I think it is a decent show. I'm not like spouting all these problems to say that, it's the worst show ever. I guarantee you there are a bunch of episodes that are genuinely funny. There were moments where I was actually laughing, I was having a good time, and I guarantee you the majority of the episodes, they are like that, with Mr. Gus, Uncle Grandpa, Pizza Steve, the Tiger, all going on these random silly adventures together, and I guarantee you there's some bangers out there. But with that, there's also a bunch of episodes that are also probably just Uncle Grandpa doing a bunch of random bullshit that leads nowhere. So I think if I was going to rate this series as a whole, if I was going to come back to it, I would just give it a 5 out of 10. It's a middle of the road for me. I don't really want to revisit Uncle Grandpa, even though there might be some good stuff out there. I just can't get behind him as a main character, and that holds the show back for me just a little bit. So yeah, leave other shows that you would like me to visit down in the comments below, and I'll make sure to get to those eventually, whether it's a really horrid show, a show that only you love, or just a really cool show that you just want me to visit. Whatever it might be, I will eventually check it out, because this is a really fun series, helping me to break out of the niche luck of just regular show, but I have a lot of other good stuff on the way, regular show content and a bunch of other shows I'm going to be exploring. So yeah, lots of good stuff. I'll see you guys in the next one. Really hope you enjoyed. Bye.